for a second, so mind her. Can't wait to get the new damn system. It's gonna be nice, there's not gonna be any microphones or cables. I'm installing a camouflage ceiling array.
Yeah.
There you go.
Hi.
Hey, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
Very well, thank you.
How are we doing? Good. We're on agenda. Is that your agenda?
Thanks, David.
Good evening and welcome to May 28, 2025 Selectmen Meeting for the Town of Buxton. Call this meeting to order at 7 o'clock. The first order of business is a Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Approval of prior meeting minutes for May 21st, 2025.
Motion to approve.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor? That's 4 and 1 was absent. Discussions held between 4 and 7. At 4:30, the police chief came in, Kevin Collins. We had a few discussions on personnel, and that was pretty much it, right, Frank?
Yeah.
Okay. At 5 o'clock, HR director came in. We talked a little bit about the surplus equipment that we have that we're trying to get rid of and where he put the ads. And then at 5:30, the treasurer came in, Bill Hall. What was his? Just general.
The college.
Oh, we picked a couple kids that live in town for scholarships. And that was about it. We talked about the town meeting. It's coming up on June 14th, and that was about it. Projects and issues, Tom.
I really don't have anything other than I've talked to a few residents in passing just about the disposal fees for our curbside waste. It's obviously probably the hot button issue for this year's town meeting, so people have questions and did the best I could to answer them.
Frank?
Nothing for me this week, I was out of town.
Mark?
Yeah, so just, I want to just get some, over last week's meeting, just some clarity. We were speaking about some things that I just want to bring clarity to. And so one of the things that we talked about is that the town of Buxton has 2,600 tons of waste, and we have 187 tons of recyclables, and that's what the town has. And the other clarity was the recycling reimbursement that we talked about, the new law that was coming into effect, who would receive that money. Bill called Kevin Roach, and basically the reimbursement would go to EcoMaine if we chose EcoMaine. And so that was a clarity on that. Did have a resident reach out. There is a bill that's being put in place for recycling of food waste, and how the town of Buxton would benefit from that potentially. I read the bill. It looks like it's for people that have 100 pounds of waste, so more designed towards colleges and things of that nature, not individual households. So that was a question that was asked. Also had a conversation with Senator Donna Bailey on an issue with a resident in town, and she was looking for clarity on that. I did speak to her on that. And then lastly, talking with Bill, we are going to put together some kind of spreadsheet to show the differences between EcoMaine and Casella, so that way there we can bring a better presentation to the annual town meeting. Hopefully put that together, clarify it next week, and put it on our website so people can look at it prior to the meeting. I think last week's meeting was a good trial run to kind of get, more clarity on how to present this information to the public. So we'll hopefully work at it and hopefully get better here before the town meeting. So that was my week.
Chad?
Well, my week was mostly comprised of speaking with residents about some of the more hotter items that are coming up on the meeting on the 14th. And kind of like what Tom said, just there, at least the recycling trash one is a fairly complex bill there, or the item going through. So I did the best I could to answer those questions, and that's about it.
I was in a couple times, talked to Public Works as I always do, and talked to a few people about the recycling and trash pickup, but that was about it. Old business, dedication of the town report will be next Wednesday night, June 4th, at 6 p.m. New business, the town has some surplus equipment, 91 GMC utility truck. It has a blown motor, and a 2005 GMC 8500 plow truck. It's a wheeler. That has a motor problem also. We'll be accepting bids for these until June 11th. Please mark the bids 91 GMC or 2005 GMC. The selectmen reserve the right to reject any or all bids. This week, we found out a couple good things. The town hall received a grant for $8,500 from Narragansett One Foundation for vault project that to bring everything more up to date and being able to, it'll all be on computer, so they'll know what they can get rid of, so they won't waste so much room in the vault. And they've been trying to get that, and Narragansett One was gracious enough to give us that grant. They also gave us a grant for $22,220, and that was for the police department to buy a drone and to learn how to use it. And so those were two grants that we got this week that the department heads have put out there, and I want to thank them both for helping do that. Saves money out of the budget, so it's,
Hold on before you keep going. I just wanted to make one more. I should have requested that on old business, but we are looking for some members to represent the town of Buxton in the decommissioning of the dam at Bar Mills here. We do have a few members. We would like a few more if people are interested. We're specifically looking for people who live on the river or live in the Bar Mills area. But you know, if people are really interested in serving and interested in that, we are looking for members. So I just wanted to put that out there.
okay. Executive orders, Executive Order 24250456, an order approving a liquor license for Roger Tracy doing business as Skip's Lounge.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor? That's 5. Executive Order 24250457, an order approving a Victoria license for Eric Halberskin doing business as Hidden Greens.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor? That's 5. Any executive orders by initiative?
No.
Accounts payable and payroll warrant. Executive Order 24250458, an order approving expenditures is documented in payroll warrant 95.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor? That's 5, and that amount was $97,990.60. Executive Order 24250459, an order approving expenditures is documented in accounts payable 96.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor? That's 5, and that amount was $67,296.29. Next meeting of the board. The next selectmen meeting will be Wednesday, June 4th, 2025 at 7 p.m. The next planning board meeting will be held Monday, June 9th, 2025 at 7 p.m. Voting for town offices will be on June 10th from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. The annual town meeting will be held Saturday, June 14th at 9 a.m. here. Any other business? Seeing none, we will take public questions and comments.
Dave Hyman, Buxton. Couple of things. If you're going to get a presentation for the trash thing, there ought to be some numbers on there of what recycling is now, what we get back, you know, for recycling, so that people can look at that. It seemed, the number that was thrown out last week seems awful low, but maybe not.
Would you like a number of what it costs to sort it all too on there, or just what we get back, just in your opinion?
When you say sort it all out, you're talking what it costs to run the transfer station.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, you can do that, but it
Okay.
doesn't, I'd be more interested in seeing
Yeah.
how much money we get back.
Okay.
I've had a number of people ask me about, well, when's it closing, when's it closing? So, you know, and they're worried about bringing stuff all the way into Portland,
Sure.
so. When you go into negotiations on contracts, like for the police department or the fire department, the police chief and the fire chief are normally in there, or somebody from the department.
Yes.
Is the transfer station manager involved in the contract for the trash pickup? Because we've heard nothing from him. You had the treasurer telling what the contract was last week instead of the transfer station manager, and I think if it's his department, he should be the one doing it.
So I will say that Greg was very involved when it came to the contract with Casellas, the 5-year contract. He was involved in that. He's had some involvement with this particular situation. Not that he's been kept out of the loops. We've just been having a lot of conversations that we, you know what I mean, individually and kind of compiling it. And Bill has been, because he is the treasurer, compounding all the numbers. And so I know that we've had Greg in, you know, when we had Waste Management in. Greg was in when we had Eco Maine the first time. Greg has been here with Casellas, you know what I mean? So he's been involved, just that because Bill is the treasurer, he's the one that's kind of compiling the numbers. And so I think that if we, you know, as we move forward, if we go in with a contract, Greg will be involved again, and you know what I mean, to make sure that we finalize everything. But again, we don't have a decision made right now. We're just finalizing numbers.
And to that point, the second time Eco Maine came in, he came in ahead of time just with some concerns. Greg just had another commitment. He couldn't make that meeting. He knew they were coming. He was in half an hour before Eco Maine was, so.
The other thing was, how long is the contract? Page-wise, I mean, is it 30, 40 pages, or is it just a couple pages?
No, it's extensive. It's not 30, 40, but it's 15 anyways, 15.
It's a 3-part, right?
Yeah.
3-part, and each one might be 5 or 6 pages.
Yeah.
Can anybody get a copy of it to look at it? I mean,
Yeah, I guess, you know what I mean? I don't, you know.
Like, are you talking you, or do you want us to, like, try to get it on the website, or what do you mean by
yeah,
can
I mean,
anybody?
on the website would be good. I mean, so that at least anybody that wants to look at it, you know, like I said a couple of weeks ago, you're not gonna get, I'm not a computer person. I do go on the website every once in a while. Like I said, 2 weeks ago, somebody called and asked about the meeting, and I went on there and I didn't find it. I didn't go through far enough.
Yep.
Like I said, I thought it should have been on that was the newest meeting. I thought it would have been on top, not after something that was back in March.
Yeah, no, anybody can get a copy of it. I mean, it's not a negotiation like the union contracts are. It's this is the price, take it or leave it. And the taxpayers are the ones accepting or rejecting the price. So anybody can see it.
I mean, people were asking last week about it. You know what I mean? What does it consist of? What is it, you know, here and there? Just questions on, like, the recycling. You know, you recycle over here, you say that you get the money back. We, the town, gets the money back. Mm-hmm. If it goes through this Eco Maine, I think Mark said that we didn't get the money back. It goes into a pool, and then, you know, we may get a discounted rate or something later on.
Right.
You know, that's just,
It goes into the co-op, which we'd be a shareholder of.
Yeah.
So, yeah, right, it goes into that pool. That, they said they've only paid dividends like 2 or 3 times in their existence, as far as actually giving checks back to towns, but usually the board members vote to go a different route, so.
did they say, I don't know whether they would tell you or not, but have they had any other, or any towns that have pulled out for specific reasons?
No.
No.
How many towns are joining right now?
I don't know the number. I know Sanford
There was a
is
number of
going
them
in.
that are joining this year.
I believe Cornish is going in. They were waiting to get
Joining
back from-
this year, but I was just wondering if, in the past, if there was any that joined and then got out, and for specific reasons. I mean, you go in there for a year or 2 or something like that, and then,
I think we asked that, and I don't believe there has been anybody that's left the agreement.
as far as a co-op, or just as far as a contract? Because you said there was 2 different.
I don't care about the contract, because we can be a contract person and you don't have to pay the the,
42 or
Right.
whatever it was.
yeah, so you don't have to pay the $1.3 million investment. You're paying a higher rate, and you're just paying to get rid of it there. You're not an owner. You have no liability with or equity for that matter, so.
Okay, I'd just like to see if you're gonna put something together, put the amount that we're getting back. I mean, yes, there's no question about it, it costs to run the transfer station, but
No, Bill he can definitely do it, because I asked him before this all started, he gave it to me, and it was around $15,000. He printed it off for me, itemized it, and I can't put my hands on that copy now, but I know we can do it again, so. It costs a lot, but it's what people want, so I'm not knocking it, but it definitely costs hundreds of thousands to do it.
thank you.
Yep.
Anybody else?
Hi, P. Richards. I've only been in this room twice, maybe. It's 202 Bridge, 202 speeding. Other than that, I've been watching on YouTube, so I'm one of the three constant. I work. I want to thank you for your service. It's been important. I've watched you with the budget meetings. I'm recalling if you've been with the planning board, but I don't recall that one. But I just want to thank you. And this is a good system. I can watch it at home.
Hopefully it'll be a better system if
I
there's,
was talking to him July.
yeah. Right, exactly. Exactly, yeah.
Anybody else?
I'm glad you brought that up, watching it on TV. Once again, I'll ask, have you had any thoughts of having a Zoom so that people can call in and ask questions? If they're gonna change it, or whatever. Hollis does it, I think, and I think Leamington does it. Not that they get that many calls, but they do have some people that will call in, and if there's a topic that comes up, that,
Do you mean during town meeting or every,
no, not so much for town meeting, because you
Yeah,
never get through
okay.
the town meeting.
Yeah,
but the selectmen's meetings, every week. I don't know, as a rule, I'm down here, I don't even, unless there's something that I wanna double check,
yeah,
I'll go back and I'll watch it. And I will say it's a heck of a lot easier on YouTube than it was the other way, to go back. But just to, if something kicks you in the pants, all of a sudden, oh geez, I meant to ask them or something like that. And then, it's been a few times, not here, but some of the other meetings where somebody will come in huffing and puffing because they screamed down there so that they could ask the questions.
yep.
Just a thought.
I think it's something worth looking into.
Anybody else?
On YouTube, you can make comments live. If you want to put a screen up in front of you as you're talking, look down, see who puts comments.
Oh, really?
Yes, because I got to put a comment in.
Or you have to have a moderator, one
Yeah.
person assigned to just monitoring what's coming in, and then you have a
But-
section of the meeting, kind of like when you call up for public comment.
David, come to the mic.
Look at what questions.
David, you might want to come up here so the audience can hear that.
Yeah, so you could hire a moderator or another person, sort of like when you do a public comment section, like you are now. You could kind of take a moment to review the questions that came in throughout the meeting and address them and kind of paraphrase them. That's an option.
Following week, you mean?
What's that?
No, live time.
No, you could do it at the end of each.
right on.
Yeah, so like he was saying, questions could come in live during the meeting, right? But you're doing everything else, and at the end, you could say, okay, now we're going to take public comment, and then you could have people physically here go up, and then after that, you could address each thing that came in one by one on the live stream. And you
Interesting.
just paraphrase the question for the camera, say, hey, so-and-so asked this, and then you answer it collectively. So it's an option.
Okay.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Hi, I wanted to thank you for answering all my questions last week.
Could you tell everybody your name?
My name's Deborah Bickford. Hi, I wanted to thank you guys for answering my questions last week. I have a question. Isn't Hollis with EcoMaine? Isn't the town of Hollis with
I
EcoMaine?
believe they are. I have a sheet in my desk that shows every town that is. I believe you're correct.
I could have, I think I read that they were, and so I was just curious if, because they don't have a transfer station, I understand that. But I wondered how long they had been with EcoMaine and if they had any thoughts and if they were willing to share any of their thoughts. I don't know who.
Yeah, I did not reach out to them. After the initial presentation, I looked through the board members who are representatives of the towns, and I knew one of the representatives from Gorham, so I did reach out to him and ask him because he's been a lifelong resident there and is on he's a voting member of the EcoMaine board just to see how it all works. So I did not reach out to anyone in Hollis, but I asked him just a bunch of questions, and he was pretty informative.
But nothing shared with the entire board or with other citizens? In other words, I guess,
there was, the board had specific questions. One of them was, so your equality in the board goes by your tonnage. So your ownership goes by your tonnage. Portland is an owner. Portland has way more tonnage than Buxton. So they have more voting power on the board. That was a concern of this board, that an urban community of that size may have different goals and different directions they want to go, and are they controlling of the co-op? And so that was probably the most pointed question I asked him, and he said that they have 3 voting members there, and at this time today, they're not vocal at all, but that
I'm
can
sorry,
change.
they're not vocal? Is
Well,
that
just
what you
because they meet as a board.
Yep.
And so the communities that own EcoMaine, those board members decide everything, how they're gonna spend their money, what the tipping fees are gonna be. And he said the members of Portland are very quiet and they vote. They don't have any, they're not controlling at all, so.
Oh.
But that's this board today. Those can obviously change, just as all of them can, but that was, some of the members of this board, that was a major concern, that if we were to buy into something and then not have a say, what would that look like? And then other than that, he just kind of explained to me how it worked with, basically what I just told you. Your voting ownership goes by your tonnage. So.
Well, I thank you again for answering all my questions last week. I think that people are concerned about the transfer station. And I can't remember who it was. I think it was you who said you got to decide whether or not you want to be a recycling community, and then the percentage of people who recycle is so low, and that's very disappointing. That's disappointing, and I don't know how you battle that. But then again, community engagement is also low. You talk about that every time I hear you talk. The idea about a Zoom meeting is cool, good idea, or having a moderator. The more engagement, the better. The more ideas, the better. My concern is, and yes, I know that social media platforms can be very, very harmful, but it's painful when you hear people say, oh, they don't listen. Not true. You listened to everything I asked you when I came and asked you and answered me. I'm sure you guys, know that. Or feeling like the town does whatever it wants to do and doesn't listen to the citizenry. Well, they have to be involved. So anything you can do to get them more involved is great, Anyway.
So to that recycling point, it's low because comparatively it's harder. I mean, we could spend a lot more money and do curbside recycling, and you would probably see the tonnage change. But people kind of, as a rule, do what's easy, right? So
Yeah, you're right.
right now, it's easy to put it in the tote and it goes away.
And-
So there are a number of people that come down here. It's 6% of our overall tonnage gets recycled right now, so.
Yeah.
I mean,
know.
the communities that do curbside are 30-ish
Yeah,
percent, so.
ish. Even that isn't wicked
Right.
awesome.
No, it's
but
not perfect, but,
It's better.
so, that's but everything comes with a cost.
Yep. Thank you.
Yep.
Anybody else? Seeing none, I will take a motion for adjournment at 7:28.
So moved.
All in favor? That's 5. Have a safe week, and we'll see you next week. Thank you.